Welcome back to Echo Ridge. Today, we have a couple of little projects to do, to include an ice factory. As many of you may remember, we are getting close to sustainability, but one item that has been eluding us so far is ice. Right now, we're down to about 70 tons. Yes, we could go dig a bunch of it up here, and we might eventually do that, especially if that number gets too low. Well, the point is that we don't have a renewable source, so we're going to have to build a system that creates it. Additionally, I'm starting to do some of the work needed after we've combined all three geovents to include putting down some temperature shift plates. That way we can spread the thermals through here a little bit better. But something that does a pretty good job of it itself is the rails. Unfortunately, right now, all the rail systems are separated. But I'm about to change that as well. But I figured I'd give the dupes a little bit to work on all the temperature shift plates, and then we'll end up getting to that. And then finally, we need to tame this source of salt water because I'm not 100% convinced that this one brine geyser will give us all the ice that we need. The complication in that is going to be the fact that this saltwater geyser erupts at 95°C, and our beautiful, cool salt slush geyser erupts at -10. Well, we're gonna need to heat that water up anyways, because in order for it to maintain its status as, well, water, in order to inject inside the wonderful little ice makers, it has to be above freezing. But the colder we can keep it around here, the easier the time the ice makers will have of converting that water into ice again. And then of course I'm going to want to set up a rail system to where we're automatically delivering all that ice to our Alveo Vera plants. I also figured while we're over here we should probably take care of this aluminum volcano as well. Aluminum is one of the best conductors in the game, so it might be nice to have it. Another smaller side project is I'm going to recapture some of the power that is used in creating all this light. And to do that, I'm going to be using solar panels. You can see I've moved this liquid pump over a little bit, and then I'm just going to put in, several. Now, there was a discussion in the comments that said, mesh tiles absolutely let light pass through. Well, unfortunately, that's not 100% true. As you can see, there is 0 lux inside this mesh tile because it blocks all the light. Where people get their information a little off is the fact that here in the space biome, where there is sunlight, it does let it pass. Now, the reason for this, I have no idea. Maybe the sun's coming in at different angles, but then again, the regular tiles sure do block it. So I'm not 100% sure on the rhyme or reason why the devs chose to do this, but it's just a natural ONI fact. But that also means we're going to need some more window tiles up here to let that light through to the solar panels. Now, it's not going to be perfect, but that's not a big deal, because any amount of power that we can recapture from the light is just a positive. I suppose it also would make sense to put a couple of jumbo batteries in here. Yeah, I normally don't like having jumbo batteries and smart batteries on the same grid, but in this case, it would be nice to let the solar panels dump their power into something, even when the smart batteries are already full at 20 kilojoules. I think for our first task of both grabbing the water from the saltwater tank and taming this aluminum volcano, we're going to cut through right here. But this is probably going to take a little while, especially considering I have the dupes doing so much right now. Now the question is, what do I do with all this existing water? This is brines, which it doesn't really matter because both the saltwater and brine are going to go through a desalinator. Maybe we can tame this aluminum volcano by just putting in a whole bunch of water. Theoretically, there'd be enough thermal mass to consume all the thermals coming out of the aluminum volcano. After giving it some thought, I decided just to do it the regular way. For the simple reason, I'd have to seal everything in to make sure its thermals don't eventually start pushing through the ice. And this water, after we've used all this nice and chilly water, will start coming out at 95°C. So while yes, there'd be a lot of water in the assisting of taming this aluminum volcano, it wouldn't actually have as much thermal capacity because, well, it's already heated near the boiling point. With the solar panels in, you can see we're getting a massive amount of power here. 20 watts, 19 watts, and 15 watts. Now granted, that's not a lot of power, but think about it in the long term. For the cost of a little bit of duplicate labor and very little materials, well, we're going to be getting an extra 55 watts forever. It's not a lot, but every little bit counts. And I suppose I'm going to need that heavy watt wire all the way over here as well. So I might as well put in another solar panel. Another small problem I'm running into is apparently this mercury lock got busted and now there's water here, and because it's water and it's very hot through here, well, it's turning into steam. So what I'm going to try to do is drop more mercury right here. But first I'm going to have to do the whole build everything out so all the steam goes away. Here we go. Now all I need is a little bit of mercury. That's the problem with these soft locks, is they are very prone to breaking. But I'll drop that mercury right there. It'll heat up, turn into a liquid, and then I will deconstruct these. The liquid will form on this tile and this tile, but this will be left to vacuum. Therefore, no thermal transfer again, hopefully. While we're over here, a great recommendation by the comments was, well, just flood it. And that's what we're going to do. I'm taking all the water that we've been piling up on this colony and dumping it in this bottle emptier. Once we get it filled enough, I will then do some creative digging to make sure this whole cavity fills up with the ultimate guise of destroying all of the zombie spores. It's going to be a little while though. The dupes, well, they're busy. Ah, yes, mercury didn't take long to heat up at all. Now I can go deconstruct all this, and then we'll be able to tie our lines back in. There we go, right as rain-ish. The Luke is almost done analyzing this aluminum volcano. It is dormant right now, and so I'm going to see how long until it starts erupting again, and then I'm going to try to get away with just using another small liquid lock. I've moved a little bit of mercury down here. It is slowly heating up. We only have to get to minus 38.8, and then it'll turn into a liquid, create our little temporary liquid lock, and then I can get in here and start working. Well, at least vacuuming out. And look at that, it's another 10 data banks. What do we got here? 38 cycles? I can do this in 38 cycles, unless I get squirreled. Ooh, I should have thought about this. I need to put the solar panels down one. This is really cramping our style. Unless I just make sure they only can drain in this pile here and then over here. Yeah, that'll work. There we go. Now it's only this cavity and this cavity that'll be accepting all the ethanol. So very close. The mercury's at minus 37.8. And just like with any other material conversion, in oxygen not included, it takes about an extra degree to a degree and a half before it will actually flash. Now we'll just mop that up, and I can finally start vacuuming this place out. Did our power line get through? Yes, it did. Glorious. Duplicant's actually finished all of the temperature shift plates. I'm actually kind of impressed. They haven't been at it that long. So next up is getting rid of all of these rails. Yes, we're going to have a big giant mess everywhere, but what else is new? And then we'll figure out a new design that'll incorporate all 3 conveyor loaders and dump off at all 3 conveyor chutes. Back here on our aluminum volcano, it has been vacuumed out, so I can get rid of this now and start putting in the thermo aqua tuner and the water. More meat and potatoes are coming in, and we've got our cooling loop almost finished. I'm going to be charging it with some nectar, and we're going to be getting it, of course, from our wonderful nectar source up here. I also need to put some rails in here, this time actually remembering that the rails that cut through the volcano need to be steel, but the rest, iron is fine. We have 96 tons of iron ore. It can come down and then go up, then back through. There we go. And then, of course, we'll top it off with our nice conveyor chute and timer sensor. Hook those in. This will be a metal tile. We are almost there. And my quick math tells me that if I want 20 kilo chunks coming out of that chute every X seconds, with the average output of 339.2, we just take the 20,000 divided by 339.2, and we get a figure of 58.9, which means if this chute opens up once every 58.9 seconds, there will always be 20 kilos available to come out. Or more importantly, we'll be getting the most amount of heat out of the aluminum before we try to chill it. Ooh, it looks like our loop is already full. Let's get rid of the bridge. I suppose I can start deconstructing these so I can pick them all up. What else do we have to put in here? Oh, just a couple more pipes for the vent. Something like this. Then we can put in our steam turbine. Ooh la la. Connecting our heavy watt wire so all of this power is heading on to the power grid as well. Let's not forget a battery. I don't even need the duplicates in here to be able to pick up all this granite. I can just say everything, and then I'll turn this all on green. The chute will stay open. No, 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 no. We already did this. Thermosensor goes in as well. We'll tie it into the battery and the steam turbine, setting the battery at 9070 like all the other steam turbines in the colony. I haven't discovered refined aluminum yet, so I will just click all refined metal can be collected by the auto sweeper. Make sure I reset the timer here once every 59 seconds. Plug in the steam turbine, set the thermosensor to say, hey, if it is above 200 degrees in here, turn the steam turbine on no matter if the battery wants power or not. And this system is pretty much done. We'll close it up with a insulated tile, cap it off with a metal tile. We'll make this out of copper. That's fine. And of course, the mercury would fall in that way. Why mercury? Why? It's okay. Liquid mercury does not turn into mercury gas until 356, so we're just keeping it in there. Once again, mercury of shame. And this system is done, and all we're going to be doing is waiting another 27.3 cycles to get some of that juicy, juicy aluminum. Now for this system. Oy vey. This salt water is hot, which is kind of good because it can go through the desalinator and turn right into water. The issue then becomes that it'll be heating up this entire area, which that's not what we want. So I'm thinking a two-stage thermal system here, because it's going to have to be cold enough to keep ice, but warm enough to where the water doesn't turn into ice. I also need to deal with some sporkids here because they're going to be a pain in my rear. I need this area. I wonder what the activity period on this carbon dioxide vent is. It comes out at 500 C and I want to analyze it and then seal it in because I want that sweet, sweet data bank just in case there's some other tier 4 research that we want to do. I also got the question a little earlier. It says, well, Echo, why don't you want to go to space? And the simple reason is, well, we've gone to space so much. I was kind of trying to keep this series a little simpler. Because remember, the longer a series goes on, the less views it gets. Which I know sounds like a horrible corporate type of answer, but, well, views are sort of the name of the game. We finally have enough water in here, and I think I'm going to do this just by digging out this algae. The water should flow in and slowly start to fill this up. Everything's going to be okay. We're definitely not going to succumb to another zombie apocalypse. I had nothing to worry about anyways. There's over 5 kilos worth of carbon dioxide pressure in here, so it can't erupt anyways. Now, some of the heat managed to escape. We're almost through to the sporkids. We'll dig all of these up. Yes, there's a lot of zombie spores in here, but don't worry. I'm going to build all in and crush them all like the dirty, dirty little flowers that they are. And this sporkid down here, well, it's dead. And all the zombie spores have been crushed into one tile, which I think we're going to take care of just right after this save. Just like that. Look, Ma, no more zombie spores. Yay! Okay, maybe not all the zombie spores because somehow some of them got out. Oh, here we go again. At least the duplicates are in the suits, so eventually these zombie spores should die off, hopefully. Now let's get our thermals transferred around. I think what we're going to do, using iron ore, not steel, is come up sort of like this and then just start the big pass all the way to the top. You know what? Why don't I try transferring it around first, sort of like this, so it definitely spreads its thermals, and then we'll come up like this. Yes, this is much better. And then we'll connect to the one chute there, another chute there, and another chute there. Clean, simple, easy. Oh, except these didn't get any love. Okay, so we'll go over, then we'll come up, and then we'll go down. Sort of like that. Okay, it's not as clean, but it works. In capturing all this salt water, I've decided to hit it from the top because, well, I don't want to lose all this water through all this mess. So I thought it might be easier just to come in from the top. So we'll come in and then we'll just drop down just like that. Now, I don't know if I have any bleach stone storage. I'm going to have to find some of that. And then we'll build a tank maybe right here, going from the abyssalite and all the way over. And I suppose I should make it clean since there is no abyssalite up here. We'll do something like this. I just remembered I can actually excavate this amber fossil now. Then we'll be able to use the ancient specimen. And this little tiny pencil sharpener grinder thing. And there we go. Story tray complete. Ancient specimen. Activate the fossil quarry. And we have an amazing critter collar. The tag reads Molly. On the reverse, designed by B363. Stamped above what appears to be an unusually shaped paw print. Now we can take diamond and turn it into fossil, which then we of course can crush to get some more lime. Don't have a big use for it, but it's there for us. Our rail system is working just as designed. Oh, I suppose I should probably lower that. That way it's not holding everything up. Because if this conveyor loader has stuff to put on the rail, well, all this is going to get backed up. And I would rather have it doing 50-50 splits. Over by our ice tank, we have our last 6 million zombie spores about to be destroyed. And this time it looks like there was none that escaped from sloppy digging or something that the dupes did, not me. There we go. Now I can crush all of this. And I'm gonna make this here our tank. Here's a quick update. It looks like we've got most of the scaffolding in. Not exactly sure how this is gonna turn out, but it's coming together somewhat. The idea being that the duplicants will be able to come down here, grab some water, and then deposit it at ice makers on each level. Now this area up here, I want to stay slightly thermally different from this one. So we are going to be sealing as much as we can. Is here something like that? Ooh, can I finally shut this? That'd be a great idea. I've also prepped this nectar line. It's going to be our chiller. So anytime that this water is getting too warm, above 5 degrees to be exact, that loop will be chilling it down. And all I have to do to do that is extend this loop. Easy peasy. The main tank will have a bunch of radiant pipes, and then this will go right back up through an entire mess of piping. What is this last line? I don't even know what you were, but it's okay. I forgive you. And then that's when this will link back up with the original loop right here. So that's what we're going to be using to keep the water nice and cool. But we also need a method to keep the water nice and warm. And that's going to be using some liquid tepidizers. I think this right here will be fine. Or do I want two? I kind of want two. I also need to save enough room to put in a pair of desalinators. Where are my desalinators? I have not unlocked desalinators. How is that even possible? There we go. But I think the desalinator is 4 wide. So these are going to have to move over a little bit. Back over to our saltwater tank. It is slowly filling. The water is back up to 23 degrees. But now I have a floor to where I can pass through this power line to power that pump. And also an area where I can bring down the pipes. They are going to make the... Oh no, here we go again. The long trip all the way over here. This is okay. I'm just going to go down all the way through here. And we're getting closer. Looks like I need to build some more bridges. Our desalinators are done, and I was correct. It is 4. I want 1 for the brine and 1 for the salt water. So that'll be going like this. I will figure out this nonsense. And if this brine water is going to be coming in from the bottom, why do I end up with so much spaghetti? Then this one will have to go up, and then we'll have a nice little dripper here. And then I suppose I can open up 1 tile here for a liquid vent. It'll work very nice. Is this a good system? I don't know. I've never built one of these before, so we're just going with it. I mean, seriously, how many times playing ONI do you have to build an ice factory? There's not exactly a community-recognized standard blueprint. We're just sort of winging it. The cooling loop is finished and ready for some nectar. Luckily, we have an absolute boatload right here. And I suppose I can probably drain this line right here. That would be nice. Of course, there's going to be bridges going the wrong way. And then we'll just bring this pipe... Oh, no, not again. Not again. Okay, we're getting closer. All I have to do is separate this, and then I'll bridge this on once again. Additionally, the salt water from that tank is coming. It's going to be going into the very first desalinator. Once the desalinator cleans it, it's going to be coming up through this liquid vent right here. We have 1 piece of automation for this. If there's less than 900 kilos worth of water in the tank, keep the vents open, which will keep the desalinators running. And now this last pipe run's not going to be too bad because we already have the brine here. And look at this. We didn't even need this pipe here. This was a very old pipe. I think it was being used for ethanol or something. I'll probably figure it out once I get to the end of this and I've already deconstructed so much. Oh, wait a minute. This is our trash pipe. Oh, no, I don't want to get rid of it. Please stop. Just in case we need the trash pipe from down below again. But our brine can come over just like this and go into this desalinator. Now, how I'll ever get to the trash pipe again? Well, that's a future Echo problem. And that one pipe of nectar did a decent job. We've only got a little bit of a gap here, and I don't care that much about it. So we can stop pumping that on, and this pipe can go away. You know, in the interest of keeping all the plumbing nice and neat. These desalinators are going to need some power. Luckily, we have a nice main power spine right here. That'll do. And I don't mind using the entire power spine because we also have to put a liquid tepidizer in here. Say right here. It's not even Steven, but it should help keep the entire tank going nice. And because this is a large tank with two different liquids coming in, it does make sense that the liquids are going to be sort of different temperatures. In fact, I should probably take some of this salt water and have it dump its thermals in here, which would save us on power requirements for the liquid tepidizer if the water gets too cold. But to be honest, there's enough plumbing in here. I don't mind spending a little bit of power. After all, we have plenty. Couple of thermosensors to make sure the water is exactly where we want it. Remember, this line's going to be coming in and hopefully equalizing at 5 degrees. So we have an initial problem. The brine is coming in too cold. So when it goes through the desalinator, it ends up cracking the pipe. So we are not going to be letting the brine go directly in. We are going to be sending it through the tank to be heated up first. Then it'll enter the desalinator. I'm also putting down a bunch of bottle emptiers because, well, we still have a lot of water in and around the colony. I'm going to put this on a priority of 6. And I'd like to get this as filled as possible because, well, the radiant liquid pipe needs to be submerged because the carbon dioxide is cold as well. So I think we're actually going to zigzag it through here. Perfect-ish. Okay, now this is spaghetti, right? Give credit where credit's due. We're cooking up a nice steamy plate of it. Now, right now, this water is 54 degrees, and this nectar is not quite keeping up yet. It's gonna take it a while to equalize, but the nectar is better than the salt water, plus we have the chill of the brine to help out. So it's gonna be a process. In the meantime, I can start planning where our ice makers are gonna be going. And ice maker math is not fun, so I think we're gonna go with the try and true method of just using a lot of them. Something like this. Oh, this is going to be nice. 8 ice makers. And each ice maker does take 240 watts. Plus, I'm going to need some auto sweepers and that sort of thing. So I am going to put down a transformer for this. Say right here. I just realized we're going to have to ask this cooling loop to do a little bit more because it also has to keep the ice makers nice and cold. Oh, what if I brought the brine in to keep it nice and cold? The brine's coming out at 10 degrees. But then again, the brine may not move for very long times, and that wouldn't keep the machines cold. So we are just going to use the cooling loop. It's going to come out of here and just do one of these actions. Oh, yeah. This will be great. And now with that much distance on the cooling loop, I'm definitely going to want to add more. So here we go again with some more piping. We'll just come down and bridge it on for the second time today. Maybe I shouldn't deconstruct pipes. I only end up doing this again and again and again. Now that the water level has risen to the point where the brine is definitely being heated, you can see it goes from minus 6.5 to 51 pretty quickly. And both the brine desalinator and the saltwater desalinator are dumping all of their water in. And I have the liquid tepidizers set to activate if the water temperature falls below 2 degrees, which it's going to be quite some time. If ever, that'll be able to happen. And now we're making ice. And progress. Look at us. Now we have to worry about getting the ice into our wonderful Alveo Vera farm. And this is also going to use some automation. The auto sweepers will pick up the ice and load them into conveyor loaders. The conveyor loaders will send all the ice via rail. These conveyor chutes are in range of this auto sweeper and will drop ice And what we're going to do is have the smart storage bins let us know when more ice is required. And any one of them is going to be able to do it, because remember, a green signal overrides a red signal. Hence the reason we don't want the NOT gate until it's way down here, and it will then turn off all of the ice makers. Each smart storage bin is going to be set to 20 tons. We'll copy these just like that. I'll give the dupes a few minutes to fill it manually with what ice there is in and around the colony. My goodness, where did this water come from? No wonder our mercury broke. There's a ton of water sitting on top of 33 grams of mercury. That's some ONI physics if I've ever seen it. Maybe I can mop some of this up? Nope, we can't. It's only a matter of time before that breaks again too. Oh, maybe it's all this water that's melting because of all the warm water. It's a possibility. Now, one of the more difficult things about this is going to be the fact that the conveyor chutes will start accepting ice even though one storage bin is full. So we're going to send a separate signal to each conveyor chute, which is going to require a NOT gate coming out of each storage bin. And you may be thinking, well, we could just use the one NOT gate. Well, the idea is that the conveyor chutes are controlled by their independent smart storage bin. But if any of the smart storage bins needs ice, all of the ice makers are going to start working. Well, when the duplicates get around to filling them up. Duplicant labor is definitely the weak part of this system. But overall, this is definitely going to help out in some fashion because the duplicants aren't going to have to deliver ice to each individual plant. The auto sweepers are going to be doing that with the assistance of yet another conveyor loader. This system is going to be pretty simple. We're going to have conveyor loaders loading up some conveyor receptacles, just like that. And then we'll have these conveyor loaders set at a slightly higher priority than the smart storage bins. So the auto super will prioritize putting the ice in the conveyor loaders. So while yes, we did add some duplicant labor costs because of the ice makers and the desalinators, we've reduced a lot of duplicant labor because the duplicants will no longer have to manually deliver the ice. Make these conveyor loaders say ice, and I'm going to put them on a priority of 6. Copy the settings all the way up. So there you have it. One completed ice factory? I kind of like it. In other news, our aluminum volcano tamer is working perfect. We have about 2 tons of refined aluminum now. And look at that gorgeous amount of power coming through. Our tank's up to 44 degrees. It's going to continue to get even hotter. So we're going to do a low priority sweep in here, get rid of all the goodies, and then just seal it up forever. All the ice is being loaded in the conveyor receptacle. The auto sweepers will then be able to feed every plant. It'll take a little while, but eventually these smart storage bins will get chock full of ice, which will then disable these ice makers. The only other change I had to make is with the automation. The long and short of it is, when one storage bin was full, well, it was sending out its green signal, which then was overriding all the other reds and flipping the NOT gate to green. So I kind of had the right idea, just the wrong implementation. So now what we have is each smart storage bin controlling its own conveyor chute and on a bus line with all the other smart storage bins to keep the ice makers going. The cooling is starting to catch up. This nectar is down to 25 degrees and this tank is down to 23. So I'm assuming after about 50 cycles, this will be back down to 1 degree like we want. Now it will take quite some time to fill all these smart storage bins, and even the duplicants are going to be able to help out as they dig up from the map, and that'll also help keep this system going. I hope you like the idea and the implementation of our ice factory. I'm looking forward to reading the comments below because I am sure there are going to be a lot of recommendations on ways to make this system a little bit better. Hope you enjoyed this episode and are continuing to enjoy the series. So until next time, much love, happy gaming, and I'll talk to you soon.